Welcome aboard, guys. Let's talk war.
Israel's military just issued an evacuation warning for parts of Tehran, warning that they would soon carry out strikes against military infrastructure there. It comes as one of the president's top political allies, Senator Lindsey Graham, who is pushing for strong action against Iran, says the president is about to act.
Iran with a nuclear weapon is a threat not only to Israel but to us. And 4 presidents have promised to make sure that Iran never had a nuclear weapon. I think it will be Donald Trump who delivers on that promise.
The U.S. is already building up its military presence in the region. Dozens of aerial refueling tankers have moved into the region to assist Israeli fighter jets. Natasha Bertrand out front at the Pentagon. Natasha, what more are you learning about these U.S. assets being moved into place?
We're going to get in it.
Yeah, John, well, what we're told from our sources is that these U.S. Air Force tankers, they have been moved into the region in recent days in order to essentially give President Donald Trump options, should he want them. And one of those options, of course, is to help refuel Israeli jets as they carry out strikes over Iran. But that would be on the lesser end of potential U.S. military involvement. And these tankers are really designed to give President Trump a lot of options. And that, of course, includes one that was presented by U.S. Central Command as a possible option to Trump of actually engaging in joint strikes with the Israelis on Iranian nuclear facilities. So if you have those tankers in the area ready to go, then you can, of course, refuel jets. You can even refuel B-2 bombers, which, of course, are the bombers that would be capable of dropping those very, very heavy munitions on these underground nuclear facilities. And so that is one part of the kind of restructuring that's going on when it comes to the U.S. force posture in the Middle East. But we've also seen, of course, the deployment of another aircraft carrier to the region, the USS Nimitz, which is joining the USS Carl Vinson, which is still in the Middle East. And it remains to be seen whether both are going to be there at the same time, but they will overlap for at least a little while. And of course, they have a tremendous amount of firepower and hardware on them that can be used both to conduct offensive operations as well as to help the Israelis defend themselves against incoming Iranian missiles. So all of this is part of Central Command trying to essentially position the U.S. military in the region in a way that allows President Trump the flexibility to essentially carry out whatever kind of military operation that he wants, John.
Natasha Bertrand at the Pentagon. Thank you, Natasha. Out front now, Congressman Seth Moulton, a Democrat from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He's on the Armed Services Committee and served 4 tours of duty in Iraq. Congressman Moulton, thanks for being with us as we wait.
Involved in a war. I have to talk about that, people. We've got a serious situation here. This situation is very serious. And I have to tell you, we have a very serious situation. Our president is getting ready to make a very big decision. A decision that just doesn't involve you and me, our young people, our military, lives, but it affects people all over the world. What we do in the next 24 to 48 hours will decide a lot concerning geo-global politics and geo-global warfare and the continual landscape of the Middle East. A lot is happening right now. The question is why? Why is this really going on? Well, some people say that Iran was developing a nuclear weapon. Well, I'm going to tell you that I don't believe that's true, and I'm going to tell you why I don't believe it's true. Like I told you, I'm giving you facts. Tulsi Gabbard, involved in our national security, spoke to Congress shortly, and she said, and I quote, Iran has the uranium, but Iran is not, and she said it herself to Congress, not in the process, nor have shown any reason, any hint that they're in the process of making a nuclear bomb. That's Tulsi Gabbard. She said that to Congress, okay? So from my point of view, Iran minds its own business over there, and Netanyahu attacks Iran, and he does the press conference and tells us all that, hey, listen, you know what? These guys can build a weapon in a matter of days, in a matter of months. We've got to do something. There's been no proof of that. There has been no proof, no evidence from any inspectors, the international inspectors, that Iran was close to making a nuclear weapon. It has not been proven. Okay, that's number one. So he goes in with that premise and he attacks all of these sites. Okay? Meanwhile, President Trump was on the side of this, trying to be the art of the deal, the negotiator, to make a deal with Iran to stop any form of building a nuclear bomb. You may not know this, but the Obama administration signed a deal with other nations and Iran that basically gave Iran time that they would not build a bomb, but at some point that deal would expire, and they, if there was not another deal, I'm paraphrasing, could continue on their path to build a nuclear bomb. Our president took us out of that deal and canceled that deal 4 years at his first term. Now, when he canceled that deal, Iran at that point was free to start stockpiling their uranium and to start enriching the uranium, because you have to enrich regular uranium to build it to a certain grade where it's able to turn into a nuclear bomb. Once he pulled us out of that deal, Iran said, okay, fine, we'll start building bombs. And that's what happened his first term. Okay, so Netanyahu says, hey, wait a minute, I'm going in. Meanwhile, the art of the deal president is trying to save the world. He promised us that he would never involve us into a war. As a matter of fact, he said wars would not take place on his watch. Paraphrasing, if you're a supporter of our president and you voted for our president, I know you voted for no wars, and you voted for his America First policy. That policy is what's pulling him out of supporting Ukraine right now. That America is tired of getting involved in international affairs that have nothing to do with us. Well, I'll tell you right now, he was trying to work out a peaceful deal. Netanyahu did not want a peaceful deal. And so he went and attacked Iran. Meanwhile, Trump was trying to make a deal, and that threw the deal out the window. Iranians are saying, hey, wait a minute. America's friends with Israel. You knew about this, and in the meantime, you're trying to make a deal with me. So Iran thought that this was some type of joint scheme. Okay? That's what they thought. Meanwhile, okay, he goes in and attacks. And when he's attacking, everybody's basically saying this is going so well. Israel is doing such a great job knocking out their intercontinental ballistic missile access, hitting the nuclear sites, killing off some of the top Iranian military leaders. So once this happens, okay, our president then shifts his focus. He shifts his focus from saying, hey, wait a minute, I was trying to cut a deal here to, wow, America's involved. We've got control of the skies. We're in charge. Iran, I've given you enough time. You didn't want to stop. You better make a deal now. And meanwhile, our president is at the G7, and he's cut off at the G7 from talking because all he was doing was praising Putin. And then suddenly, hours later, he says, I got to go back to Washington. Okay? Just log that in your parking lot. I'm bringing it all together for you. So meanwhile, at that point, Netanyahu keeps talking about America's helping them, and this is some type of joint attack now. This is what's been given, even though our Sith apprentice, Marco Rubio, put out, when this first happened, a statement from the State Department saying, America had nothing to do with this. America had nothing to do with this. This is all on Israel. But now it's being changed. And now what you've got is our president calling for the unconditional surrender of Iran. And our president basically saying, we know where the Ayatollah is. He's not safe. We can get him anytime we want, but we're not going to get him. But he better not hit America. Okay? Hit America, meaning American assets in the Middle East. We've got people in Iraq. We've got people all over the Middle East in Arab countries and Arab nations right now, our soldiers. And so Iran is threatening to hit those places right now because they believe America was involved. Okay. Our president right now is sending tons, as you heard, of American warships and assets into this conflict. Okay? And here's the deal. With all the attacks and knocking out the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the big deal here is to say we're going into this because we want to stop Iran's ability to making a nuclear bomb. All right? Well, let me tell you something right now. No matter how much damage Israel throws on Iran, they do not have the military capacity to stop Iran from making a nuclear bomb. Why? Because the nuclear shop where they're making the weapons and pulling all these pieces to make the weapon and enriching the uranium together is deep in an Iranian mountain. Israel does not have the military capacity to knock that mountain and level that mountain to the ground and to destroy the labs that are deep down into the ground. They need what's called a bunker buster. A bunker buster is a $30,000 pound warhead that America used when we took out Saddam Hussein in Iraq when he was in the ground hiding out. We used the bunker buster. There's no way that Israel can win this conflict without the bunker buster. Okay? So if they really want to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon in the future, because let's play this out. If you let Iran off the hook right now and you withdraw and say we took out your ballistics and we stopped the capacity for you enriching uranium, and that may slow Iran down for maybe a couple of months, maybe a year. But you know what's going to happen? The next time they start making a bomb and they pull the pieces together, they're just going to press the button and fire it. They are going to get even with Israel if they do not stop them from having complete access to ever making a nuclear weapon. And the only way you can do that is with diplomacy. Unless, and this could be a hidden moment, a hidden moment, a motive, unless Netanyahu is going for a regime change, which is what he just hinted at. Meaning he's trying to wipe out their complete military command. He's trying to wipe out the Ayatollah. So if he does that, creating a power vacuum in Iran, a new regime will rise that will be more open to signing a deal that say, we'll never have a nuclear bomb and we'll let you bring inspectors in on a monthly basis to check that. All right? But here's really where we are, people, and this is very serious business. You've got to ask yourself, why is this happening? You always have to look. I read a book in 1976. It was called Cycles of War. I would advise you to look for this book on Amazon. It's going to be hard to find. But I bet you if you look for this book, you're going to really see what's happening. You have to look at why we go to war. Why nations go to war. There's always certain factors why a nation would go to war. Economics, internal conflict inside their own nation, the economy, okay, geopolitics within the world. And so all of these are different reasons why at some point a nation will want to say, I go to war. One of my mentors always told me this, and he was a management mentor. He said, you know what, Chris? When you find yourself surrounded and you find yourself with nothing else to think about to get yourself out of the mess you've gotten yourself in, go find yourself a war. And I think that's what's happening right now. And I think what's happening is that we are not looking at the magician. We're not looking as they turn the cones and look for the ball. We're looking at the movement of the hands. But there's something going on here. Why would our president, who has a policy of America first, who criticized our previous presidents for always getting us involved in wars, always getting America involved in wars. As a matter of fact, anybody in the MAGA movement doesn't like war. And as a matter of fact, if you look at what's going on in the news, MAGA is imploding because half of the MAGA acts are attacking because they're saying that if President Trump gets us involved in a war, he's betrayed the American First movement. So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, you got Tucker Carlson, you got other people that are staunch MAGA supporters who are warning him that if he does this, it's going to affect his legacy. Okay? You got Lindsey Graham, another supporter right now on the other side of this, who's saying, oh, go get him. You got Fox News saying, go get him. Why? Why are we saying go get Iran? What does, and I'll tell you something, military expert says that this geopolitically, okay, has nothing to do with America. There's nothing in this for us. We have no truck in this war as it stands today. What we do have a truck in right now is Ukraine, because if Russia takes Ukraine, it's going to go after Poland and all of those other NATO countries that, according to Article 5 of NATO, if Putin goes into Poland, we've got to go attack Putin. So our truck is really in Ukraine, which right now, because of America First, we're pulling out of Ukraine. We're stopping giving aid to Ukraine. We're not giving them the intelligence that they need. And basically we're saying, we're tired of this war. We're tired of supporting Ukraine. But meanwhile, you're going to go jump in the Middle East in a conflict that doesn't have anything to do with us. A war we had nothing to do with. A war Netanyahu started. So why would our president get involved in this? Cycles of War, 1976. Our president has negative polling numbers right now. The big, beautiful bill is not looking that beautiful. And so right now he, for the first time, even from his Republican supporters, is under siege because of failed leadership. Right now, you've got panic in the street. Again, another cycle of war, internal conflict. You've got protests all over the country. No kings. You've got ICE and the Marines on military soil, pulling in Americans, arresting Americans. You've got internal conflict. You've got a messed up economy, a messed up stock market because of the tariff effect. Okay? And then you had the G7, where he didn't look as great as he did at his first G7. He was basically told to shut up. And then he left. So our president is a master of distraction. Whenever there's something going on, he always creates the distraction to take your eyes off of one ball and put it on another. At first, a week ago, everybody was seeing him fight Elon Musk. 2 days later, what happened? Marines are on the street. The National Guard goes into California. All hell breaks loose on the street. Nobody's talking about him versus Elon anymore. Distraction. You've got to be prepared, and you've got to be prepared not to get caught up in the distractions. Because meanwhile, what else is happening you're not looking at? What's going to happen if America get involved? I'm asking my MAGA supporters. He said America first. He said, I'm going to stop Ukraine on the first day. Fine, didn't happen. He's out of Ukraine because of America first. So because of America first, I'm pulling out of something that has something to do with our national security and our geopolitics, but something has nothing to do with me. I'm jumping America first. I'm going into a war. I'm going to start letting people have our bunker busters. I'm taking out Iran. I'm creating a regime change. That's going to have long-lasting effects, people. Don't get it twisted. Don't think this is going to be a walk in the park. This is not easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This is some serious business we're talking about. You go ahead and get involved directly in Iran. Let me give you some scenarios what could happen. Number one, Iran can start attacking all of our allies and all of our military bases that are very vulnerable. And the first place they're going to go is they're going to hit Iraq. Why? Because it's right next door and we've got military right there. And so all of these small military pockets of Americans in the Arab nations, all over in that section in the Gulf and the Middle East are going to get hit. Not to mention the fact that don't think that we're not going to have an uptick in terrorism in our own country. Whatever's going on, you better believe that Iran is going to activate whatever sleeper cells they have around here, or they're going to start figuring out new ways to bring terror and violence on American soil in retribution to the regime change. Okay? And don't think that that's not going to happen. So those are two consequences that we really don't want to deal with, but there's worse consequences. Think about this, and you've got to think about the distraction. Iran's allies, China, Russia. Iran has sold those drones to Russia, and they're using them to attack Ukraine. So there's a friendship there. There's also a friendship between Iran and China. Can we take on China right now? We can't. And you know why? We don't have the munitions right now. If we start using our munitions right now to get involved in this, Xi, who's already moved a lot of his warships towards Australia, which is our back door. If Xi turns around and says, you guys had no right to do this, we're going to go in and hurt America, we cannot take America, we cannot do a conventional war against China. What about Russia? Can we take Russia and China on? Can we take Russia, China, and North Korea on? These are big implications that our country will be involved in and pulled into. And here's the big deal. Does this all sound familiar? The weapons of mass destruction by George Bush, who said we've got to go into Iraq and take out Hussein. We got to take him out. And we went in there and we took him out and we used the bunker busters and he was taken out. But we never found any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. It was all smoke and mirrors. It was all distractionary. But this time the stakes are higher. The stakes are big time higher right now because we don't have the manpower. We don't have the ally support. This has nothing to do with us. Netanyahu is playing us right now. He is a warmonger. A warmonger. Point simple. Look what he's doing to Gaza. Now, they had a right to defend themselves. We all said that. But right now, you've got hundreds of thousands of kids and people that are starving to death right now because Israel will not let humanitarian aid into Gaza, and the United Nations has pleaded with him to do it. Netanyahu will not do it. He's also someone that's good at distractions. You may remember Netanyahu was removed from office for corruption. He came back in office under a very tenuous political pact with his rivals. And then October 7th happened. Before October 7th, he had moved basically the same way our president moved in this country to get immunity from the courts for anything that he did. And there were massive protests in Israel at that time. Well, then came October 7th, and at that point, he used that distraction and that pain to launch this attack into Gaza to seek retribution and get the hostages back, which were fine. He had a right to do that. He hasn't gotten all the hostages back because it seemed like he's not too concerned about these hostages now. And that's one thing Israel was known for, getting their hostages. You take one of ours, we're coming to get it, even if it's a body. But right now, it seems like they're just interested in destroying Gaza and killing these people. It's genocide. Call it what you will. People are starving to death. He's already flattened that city. He's already won. Let the people eat, but he's not, because he don't want the world jumping on him for Gaza. So what does Netanyahu do? He creates another distraction. He turns around and he says, well, these guys can get a nuclear bomb, weapons of mass destruction. We got to go in. Tulsi Gabbard said there's no nuclear weapons in Iran, and they are not pulling together any nuclear weapons. So why is our president getting involved? And why did Netanyahu lie to the world when Tulsi Gabbard, the intelligence chief for the United States, said there's no nuclear bombs in Iran? Because it's all a game. It's all smoke and mirrors. You got to be woke. You've got to be aware. And I'm telling you right now, you need to start calling your congressman and saying, I don't want a war. He said America first. And listen to this. You're going to spend more money in a war when you got people hungry on the street. You got people right now that can't get medical health care in our own country. You want to talk about America first? We gave Israel $22 billion over the last couple of years. But and we give money, and this is one of my peeves. We give money to countries all over the world in the name of national defense. But we don't defend the homeless here. We don't defend the hungry here. We don't defend the soldiers here. We don't defend those without medical coverage here. Okay, I'm America first to an extent, unless it has somebody to do with somebody pointing a bomb at my head. We got to take care of home first, and that means we got to take care of America first, and that means we got to take care of our homeless, our hungry, those in hospitals who can't afford health care. But we're talking about taking care of the rich in the big, beautiful bill, and now we're talking about going into a war in the Middle East with Iran. It's going to be a long war. It's going to go past the next 4 years. It's not going to be over with, people. I want to make you aware. But now that I told you all of that, and that's just the news, right? Everything I've done, everything I pointed you to points you to one thing: the return of the chosen one. What does all of this stuff have to do with right now? What does all of this have to do with God gave us Trump? What does all of this have to do with end times prophecy? That's the question. What the hell is causing all this? That's what you really need to be looking for. And I'm giving it to you. There's no distraction here. Let me tell you why. Because if you look into the Bible, thousands of years ago, all of this was predicted. Every single thing that's happening right now. China is in the Bible. Iran, Iraq, in the Bible. Israel fighting these countries in the Bible. Russia in the Bible. North Korea in the Bible. And it's all happening now. It's all coming together. If you take a look at the book of Ezekiel, we're going into it as we journey over the next couple of weeks in the book of Revelation. You're going to see and take these current events that are happening today, and I'm going to give them to you from the Bible thousands of years ago, and you're going to see the relevance of the hour. The relevance of the imminent hour of the return of the chosen one. All of this is pointing to something. And I'll let you in on a little secret. If this thing gets out of control, Russia will get involved. You can check that off of the box and say it came from Kenobi. Russia will get involved. Okay? And when they get involved, Israel and Russia are going to go at it to the point where Israel is in big trouble. And then you're going to see it really get hot on the world. I'm telling you right now, everything that's happening right now has been predicted. Every single thing that's happening right now in this conflict is biblical, and it's of major biblical proportions. It's happening. You can call me crazy, but I can prove it to you. I'm telling you, and I've told you, if any of you looked at part 1 of the return of the chosen one, if any of you looked at God gave us Trump, why? This conflict was predicted. So I'm telling you, don't get distracted, people. Keep looking at the news. This is serious business. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for our president that he does the right thing. Pray, pray, pray. Contact your congressman. Tell him you don't want this to go down, because if it goes down, we and our children and our grandchildren will be living with this for a long time if the Lord doesn't tarry. So that's the short take on it. I will keep you posted. I will keep you abreast of what is going on and what's happening. But I wanted you to know what's really going on with this war right now. It's not as simple as it seemed. And you have to call our president to account for those of you that supported him, for those of you that voted for him because you were tired of getting involved in international conflict. If you did that and you supported our president, then you should feel betrayed. You should feel used and abused and betrayed and not listened to. He said, I get you. He said, I'm understanding how you feel. We're tired of being involved. But now he's pulling you into something very serious. And I'll see you later. But remember this, get involved. Get involved. Start to understand. Stick with us on this journey. The return of the chosen one. Go back in our platform. Look at God Gave Us Trump Why. Look at the return of the chosen one, part 1, part 2, part 3, and you will see all of this is making sense. I'm getting excited, but I'm also getting concerned. I'm getting excited because I know what it means for me personally, but I'm getting concerned for what it means for so many people that don't know the chosen one. Please, please, please don't go to sleep on this. Watch the moving parts. You're being distracted. Wake up.